Relax your body, relax your mind, and focus on your breath. Bring all your awareness now to all your inhalation and exhalation. And notice how you feel more and more relaxed as you breathe in and out gently and deeply. Now gently bring your focus to your heart. And imagine your heart is like a lotus flower, opening its petals one by one as you breathe in and out deeply. As the petals open up one by one, you see a spark of bright light in the middle of the lotus flower. Notice now with each breath you take, this spark of bright light grows brighter and brighter and bigger and bigger. Bathe in the beauty of the beautiful glow and feel the energy of love and peace resonate throughout your whole being at the deepest level. And allow the light of love and peace become so strong that your entire being resonates in its deepest level and also dissolve. Let love saturate every pore of your body right now. And in the middle of this bright light, see an image of our Mother Earth with all her inhabitants, the human, the animals, the trees, the plants, and hold Gaia and her inhabitants in the energy of complete peace, bliss, love and compassion. All is well, and so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. It's an interesting process, channeling. One that my partner didn't understand when he began, and now he does. He steps aside, and the secret of this, as well as those who heal and read, is the same. Is that the human being can remove themselves and all of their filters for just a moment and let the words come in. The words from the concepts that they feel from the other side of the veil, brought to them often through the pineal. Dear ones, there's an adjustment period of time. There always is. Or the human brain of those listening and sitting in front of me, at some level they have to figure out what's going on. Some don't believe it is real, some believe it is real, but they don't believe it's from the other side. They say it is from the human's higher self perspective. What have your teachers told you this is? I want you to think about what your teachers have told you this is, and then I want you, in all fairness, to put it aside for a moment. There are some beliefs that say that humans by themselves cannot touch anything on the other side of the veil. There must be an perhaps teacher of some kind, of some elevation, to do that for you. Some believe it has to be done in a group instead of individually. I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask others. Why do you limit the love of God? Spirit sees you as family, and there's nothing more sacred. Within family, there is preciousness, there is love, there is caring, responsibility. You already know you're different. You do not represent that which has been evolved from the animals. Your DNA itself has been changed so that you can walk through this test, if you want to call it that. The experience of humanism, life after life, creates the opportunity for growth and wisdom and advancement. And that's why it exists. Dear ones, how do you feel about your family? And if you have a child, and many of you do, and you watch it grow and learn things, and you're so pleased, you can hardly wait to tell your neighbors and your friends the latest good thing that your child did. And let me ask you this, Mom, Dad, do you make your child go through somebody else to talk to you? Are you that important that you would remove yourself that far from your children? Perhaps you make them write a letter and you deliver it to you through somebody who has a special costume in the other room. Then you can read it and deliver it back through somebody who has another kind of a costume to them. Sounds funny, doesn't it? But that's what often humans do. They do not see God in them. They see it apart from them. And so they go through a process or a procedure to get to God. Dear ones, I would like to tell you the truth. We are with you all the time. When you sit to meditate, are you aware? We have been with you all day long. Some of you may meditate and start by asking for things that you need. We know what you need. Some of you think of God as a good friend that you have to describe what has happened during the day. We were there during the day, like you would be for your children. Except that, dear ones, you are not our children. You are our equals. You are our family. And when you're not here, you're with us. You are us. The veil that exists between us is on purpose. It was placed there so that you had to have free choice to look. And through that free choice, a system is set up where you learn with that free choice, without a bias from us. And this is what would call the system of earth, that by yourself you would discover God within. And God is within. All that lives and breathes is part of the system. All of it. Even the very dirt of the earth and that which you walk upon is sacred. Some of it has consciousness you're not aware of, but all of it knows about you. Dear ones, you are that which is elevated on the planet. There is nothing that is elevated further than you. That is the free choice, to find God inside and change the planet. Now, in the process, you're going to change you. Some of you believe you are workers of the light. We use the metaphor of the lighthouse all the time. And it's a beautiful, beautiful metaphor. And what I want to tell you is that those who work in the light eventually become light. Those who live in the lighthouse eventually become the lighthouse. This is the system of the planet. It integrates within itself. There is a cycle of beauty. We have said before, there is no such thing as death, just the cycle of life. We have said to you, there are no goodbyes, for the cycle has you continue. What are you going to do with this information right there in the chair where you sit? Here's what we ask. Believe it. You're not going to be able to change anything around you until you believe this. Is it possible that you're more than you've been told? Is it possible that your energy alone can change the things around you? And the answer is yes. Is it possible that inside you is an energy that can literally stand above yourself and maybe see things around you? And the answer is yes. Is it possible that your DNA is starting to enhance itself and become more aware of who you are? And the answer is yes. And all this belongs to a certain kind of human, a human called an old soul. Now, the next channel we give, we're going to start itemizing what is an old soul. How do you know you're an old soul? For even that is a mystery to some of you. And you wonder, is this me? Is he talking about me? I want to discuss even why you would ask that question. The old soul is one who's been here before many times, and their akash carries with it an enormous amount of information and wisdom and lifetimes of talents, both genders, and the beauty of the knowledge that you have. Now, before we say goodbye, only for a moment, I want you to realize the energy in the room. It's sacred. It's been prepared carefully for you. It's patterned. Now, we're going to use that word a lot in the future. For the human can pattern energy wherever they go. And the pattern of the energy that they make is the pattern of the beauty of the family. So that when you sit together, there are no distractions. Only love. And it's the love of the earth for you. It's the love of God for you. It is the love of spirit for all you are. How can we say this more succinctly and easier than this? We know who you are. We know your names and what has happened to you. All of the things that you think are mysteries in your life at the moment are an open book to God. And because of this, we also have the solutions on the next page. Anyone who listens to this should know this. The solutions have already been done. If you'll just turn the page, you'll see it. And that is the beauty of what we teach. That humans are enabled to do things that perhaps your teachers didn't tell you about, or didn't know about, or they existed in an age where it was not possible. And now it is. All of it. So until the next channel, we say we know, dear ones, where we are, who is here, and what is going to be next for you. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There's always a system. And in this particular case, the system would honor the old soul. Dear ones, we have said before to you, the ones who make the difference on the planet at this point in time are the ones who have the most experience. And when we say the most experienced, we mean those who have lived again and again in the energy of what you call the earth. An experienced human being who has lived life after life, we call an old soul. I would like to tell you something if you didn't already know it. The old souls are the ones who are awakening. An old soul could be under 20, over 80, it doesn't matter. For the oldness refers to how many lifetimes you've had and how wise you are today because of it. And even now, there would be those who would ask, am I an old soul? I want to give you some parameters just to think about in these last moments of this meeting. But before I do that, I again want to tell you something. I see the sweetness, the beauty, the purpose of your being here. I come from the other side of the veil where there is no time. The perception there is different from here. In that place, if you want to call it a place, there is acknowledgement of all that you are. We see the frustrations of the single life you live, and at the same time, the beauty of the lives you've lived before. We've seen what you've been through, and what you believe you are here for. We see it all at once. And still you wonder, am I an old soul? And it's amazing for us as you sit here listening. Amazing that you would ask the question at all. Dear ones, there is so much here that I want you to feel that I cannot even speak of. I want this message to ring with truth so you know who you are. I want to start a journey of you asking the questions to validate that which you already know at some level. You are an old soul. Let me make a statement. I know who is here, and everyone who is here listening to my voice at the moment in this room are old souls, all of you, every single one. There is such a variety in the length of time you've been on the planet, what you've experienced, the various cultures that you have been in, the battles you've been through, the reasons you came. I want to tell you, the experience is vast, and it's not what you think. You're so linear. You think you came in life after life after life, and sometimes you were a sailor, and sometimes you were a mother, and sometimes you were a cook. That'd be nice if it were that simple, but it isn't. When I mean experience, I mean experience. What do you call a soul who comes in for 3 months and leaves? By agreement with their parents, so that a lesson would be learned or delivered, or an opportunity would be given for the parent to become spiritual through their sorrow. What about that? That is a lifetime that is profound and only 3 months long. Old soul. Did you know that you would have done something like that? So basic, so profound, and so meaningful. Perhaps a mother has awakened spiritually and asked the profound questions of her life because of what you did, what you agreed to do. What about coming to this earth to only live till you're 19 and be terminated on a battlefield with a knife through you? And you might say, what good does that do anyone? I would like to say to you, dear human being, that every breath you take as an old soul on this planet is meaningful, is countable, is recorded, and beautiful. And some of you had to be on the battlefield as the ones who fell, and some of you had to be on the battlefield as the victors. And that is experience. And you might say, what possible thing would it keep us in a system of learning? What possible good does that do? Perhaps you'd remember it enough that someday you'd have the power within you to say, there will be no more battlefields, because it doesn't matter whether you're the winner or the loser. They're both low energy. That's experience, old soul. I want to give you the attributes of an old soul slowly, and I'm going to ask you for introspection. In other words, a word that says, I want you to analyze these things personally. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be in denial. I want you to sit and clear yourself right now, old soul. The first reason you know you're an old soul is because you're here. You don't have a room filled with human beings who are simply curious. At this level, learning these kinds of things in this energy, it's almost all old souls. By someone who wanted you to observe what took place, I will tell you, old soul, that is synchronicity, no accident. The first reason you know you're an old soul is because you're here. Dear ones, what do you think about when we speak? Do you hear Kryon? Do you want to hear Kryon? Or are you thinking about dinner later? Be honest. Old souls are curious about so much. But when it comes to this energy, they're attracted to it like a moth to a flame. You recognize why you're here. And at some level, you want more. A sponge for the information you are, not through curiosity, but because it's beginning to ring with the truth of the age. That's number one. Some of you are starting to have what I will call profound remembering experiences. Now, you have called them déjà vu, a phrase which means I think I've been here before. I have the feeling of remembrance, although I cannot remember if it happened or not. And some of you are having that more and more. You will meet a person, and you will walk away from the meeting and you will be convinced you have seen that person before, only to turn later that you never met them. You go to a gathering and you meet somebody who is so friendly and so familiar and is so family, and you get their information, and you're excited for this new friend. And yet somehow, through it all, you realize it's an old friend. You're rekindling that which is profoundly friendship and family. You've met a mother or a daughter in a past life. Men will meet comrades and those who somehow they feel an affinity to, and they will call them mates and chaps and whatever it is, and want to be with them. It's more than that. You find a similarity of consciousness. It's more than that. You're starting to remember. I'm going to call it Akashic awakening. More and more, you are led into situations that seem familiar and faces that you think you know. And yet, it's the first time. My partner has it happen when he leaves his home and goes to countries and cultures he has never been to and never seen, and there he meets brothers and sisters, and it's hard for him to leave. Many don't speak his language and can only be available through interpretation, and yet he looks in their eyes and he knows their family. He knows their family. Far-reaching as it might be, his experiences all over the planet are ones where he knows he meets family. This is a symbol, a sign of being an old soul. And some of you are having it happen over and over. How many of you see 11:11 on the clock? Old soul. Did you know this is a delivery system to old souls so they know they're old souls? That's what it's about. It's out of synchronicity. By chance, you're not supposed to see those numbers that often. It is a system of communication, of love, that says, we know who you are, old soul. Perhaps you're a woman who has never had children, and yet at some level, you have, and you know it. You can feel it. Perhaps you're a woman who has never had children, and you're not going to because you feel you've had children over and over and over, and now it's time for a rest. But you know what it's like, don't you? You really do. Old soul. You've been here enough time that your Akash rings with being a mother. It is the same for men. A man who is sweet-natured, a man who would never hurt another human being, knows at the deepest level that he's probably put a sword through a few and knows what it feels like at some level. Now, if you're a man sitting in this audience and listening to me, I challenge you to go there with me, because you'll feel it. You know you have. It rings in your Akash. It is part of your cellular structure. As sweet as you might be, as respectful as you might be, this time around, you know you have warrior inside. Now, if you really want to get esoteric, women in the audience, you know you have warrior inside as well. You can feel it. You participated on the battlefields of earth, and you know it. Although you may not respond to being a male, you can respond to battle. You know what it's like to survive or not on the battlefield. So much history was won and lost so often by those with weapons. And all of you in the room have participated to the fullest in all of it. Sometimes you died for your God, and sometimes you died for nothing. But you've had the experience of knowing what it felt like to come and go quickly. And the next time around to decide whether that is what you're going to do again, or why not. There are so many signs, and perhaps you're not aware of them, and some that hide. Here's one I want you to examine in your mind as you sit there. Are you naive or wise? Now, I recognize that a naive person will never think they're a naive person. I'm talking about wisdom beyond your years. Do you have wisdom beyond your years? And the answer in every case is yes, and you know it. As you sit there, in all honesty, with your body, with your brain, you know it. You have wisdom beyond your years. There are some young people here who feel it profoundly. Wisdom beyond your years. How is that possible? How do you describe what that feels like? Dear ones, I have just given you one of the keys to knowing you're an old soul. And you never talk about it with anybody. How can you say such a thing to anyone without them believing that your ego is in charge when you say, I am wiser than anyone around me? But perhaps you are. And you have that in common with a group. And you come together with them and you realize it. And you found family. Your wisdom comes through experience. You paid for it. Dear ones, that's how you know you're an old soul. Now the next one is difficult, and we have spoken of it before. But there is one thing that being an old soul creates in your personality, and you'll know you have it. I know who's here. For eons, you have pushed against an old energy, and you haven't done well. The old energy was always in charge. And you either had to hide from it or battle it. It never really got any better. Lifetime after lifetime you spent in this condition, always being beat back, until now. Now you awaken in an area of the galaxy at a time on this planet that the ancients have spoke of that is profound with change. The energy is on your side, and that is what we have talked about. However, what do you carry, old soul? Into this energy, what do you carry? You carry a lack of self-worth. Complete lack of self-worth. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I want you to soul search right now. You know I'm right. You may be assertive on the outside. You may be strong to others. But when you're alone, you wonder who you are. You wonder if you're going to make it. You wonder if you're right. That is an old soul. Your experience alone has caused you to search if you're worth being here in this new energy. Your wisdom alone weighs all that is and comes up with this remark: maybe I'm not worth it to be here. And that's what you think about, don't you? Lack of self-worth is the attribute of an old soul. Now that is starting to turn around as you learn who you are, why you're here, and why you feel the way you do. There's nothing better than discovering truth, for it solves the past. Discovering truth of the past also puts the future in perspective, and you start to have the self-worth that you deserve. Here's number 6. Discovering purpose. The old soul has so much past performance. There is so much history that you've been part of that you arrive on a planet with new energy and you look around and you say, what is my purpose of being here? And you may have others tell you what it is. You may go to meetings where you are pretty sure you know what it is, but deep down, you have no idea. What is my purpose? What am I doing? It's an esoteric question, because some of you, if not all of you, at some level feel unfulfilled by what you're doing. It's not enough. It's not perhaps at the right time. Or you've gone a different direction than you thought. Oh, old soul, it really shows that you are an old soul in a new energy, learning your way around again. For as many times as you've lived before, you've never lived in this energy. This is number 1. And so you feel a little lost, or perhaps the purpose is not clear, because the new energy does not give you the feedback the old energy did. You can't tell, because you can't trust what you feel. And so you ask the questions, am I doing it right? Is there something I should do better or more? I'm going to say this again. Old soul, as you begin to heal yourself from these attributes, your power really starts to show. You start realizing not only who you are and that you deserve to be here, but that you come in with so much experience, you begin to pull upon the experience. You may not even realize you are, but you are. Intuition becomes higher. You're starting to get advice for your own life, synchronicity on where to go, all based upon you being an old soul today. The ones who are just coming into the planet, dear ones, are surviving only. They don't have the tools yet. They will. But they're just figuring it out. What's it about? You know what it's about. You have the wisdom of remembrance. You're beginning to solve the problem, and we told you what the purpose was. We told you to relax and simply be here. We told you that it doesn't matter what you do. Here is a concept that does not work with what your parents told you. It doesn't matter what you do. Your light helps this planet. Your search for who you are helps this planet. Your esotericness sitting in the chair today helps this planet. The crystalline grid remembers what you're doing, and it will last for generations. You put into the grids of this planet the energy of the maturity of your lives. That's what you're doing right now. This particular new energy on this planet is like a sponge absorbing your energy, so that the next generations will have what you have learned as an old soul. There is a system here that's beyond what you think. Literally, while you're sitting in despair, wondering if you deserve to be here and what your purpose is, this planet is absorbing everything you've done and learned and is maturing because of it. That is the system that the old soul needs to know. Relax and be. Know that you're on purpose. Relax. Let synchronicity push you into the next thing, which will be benevolent and beautiful for you if you allow it. You've been through so many lives where you suffered. It's easy for you to think you're here to suffer. You're not. You're not. Parents, would you bring your children on purpose into a world so they can suffer with you? It doesn't make sense. It's not common sense spiritually. It's not common sense spiritually at all. You have to start using that intelligence that is spiritual, that would say, what would I do if I were God? And then at some level inside, there'll be a voice that says, you are. You are. A piece of the whole creation, you are. You can answer your own logical questions if you want. Finally, number 7. You would never think of this one. Dear ones, you don't know this one. You think this is obvious, and it's not. It's not. I can prove it. If you start talking to others about what I'm going to tell you right now, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Because the old soul in this energy has the ability to feel loved by God. And others do not. It takes a maturity. It takes lifetimes of experience for you to understand the benevolence of a creator and what that means inside. Now, here is something that I never said to my partner, and I reveal it here for the first time. He gave you the Kryon story. And he told you when he sat in the chair for the first time, he felt emotion. And that this was the catalyst that allowed him to sit in the chair again and again. Not only did he feel it, he liked it. He was not going to tell you that part. Because he knew what it was. He was an old soul, he is an old soul, and he was ready to feel the love of God, and he recognized family. And dear ones, the new souls don't recognize family. They don't understand the feeling that you have that's the maturity of being loved by the Creator. You're an old soul. If you can feel it, you're an old soul. Congratulations to all of you for being who you are. You are the ones to change the planet. In this room, you have come from all over in so many countries and so many languages. And you all have one thing in common right now, together. Old soul. You're going to change the planet. By your very presence here, light worker, the grid absorbs the light that you carry and have earned and brought to us. This is a system. And the new energy of the planet needs the old soul, the experience of the old soul, and the wisdom of the old soul to go into the grids so that those born in the future will have that which you have taught them through living your lives. A system that is esoteric, difficult to describe, and profound. Think of it. by living here today, you imbue into the grids knowledge for future generations. How do you think that humanity is ever going to mature and evolve spiritually without this knowledge? And the answer is it can't, and you are the ones who are putting it right into the grids of the planet. This, along with the time capsules from the Pleiadians, as they give this information to you, is going to create an ascended planet eventually. Far from now, but all important. You are planting seeds of the future just by being in the room and letting us speak to you. I close. What are you going to do with this? I want you to think on these things, if you can, if you will. I want you to think on all of them and ask the questions. Is it possible that I'm more than I think? Is it possible that God knows me as I just sit here with all my problems and my frustrations and all of the errands I have to run and the children I have to raise and the relatives that I have to please and the bosses, on and on and on? Is it possible that God loves me through all this? And the answer is yes. Yes, yes, and yes. So important, old soul, are you? Congratulations. That's your purpose, to be. And so it is.